Alright, what's up everybody? Welcome back to more 428 Shibuya Scramble. My name is Raven from the Sky, and let's continue. Osara brought up a folder marked UA virus on his screen. Within the folder were enlarged images of the virus itself. He double-clicked one of the images that blew up on the monitor to reveal the pathogen in intricate detail. A specimen of the UA virus was approximately 100 nanometers in diameter. 10,000 of them in line would take up barely a millimeter. But a single tiny viron, upon entering the human body, could become 2,000 in an hour. That speed of multiplication was nothing short of astonishing. Even the Ebola virus had a typical incubation period of 7 days or so before infectees developed symptoms. A virus of the family Filoviridae that causes Ebola hemorrhagic fever. Apparently 5 characterized species are known: Thai Forest, Sudan, Reston, Zaire, and Bundi-Bugo. Ebola is widely known for its high mortality rate, 53% for the Sudan form, 88% for the Zaire. But the Reston variety, discovered in monkeys that had been brought into the U.S., has displayed no pathogenicity in humans. For influenza, it was 1 or 2. 1 or 2, yep. Oh God, I've had the flu before. You don't want that. You get your flu shot, people. Unless you're allergic, I recommend you get your flu shot. I think we've all had it once in our lifetime, right? But the onset of the UA virus happened in a mere 12 hours. Osara viewed an image slideshow of the virus's propagation mechanism. It was a fascinating sight, no matter how many times he looked at it. Viruses existed to multiply, nothing more. They had no motives, no driving logic, nothing but simple multiplication. To Osara, that fact held a certain air of mystery. If viruses had emotions, how would they feel about their lives? He had thrown himself into virus research. In search of answers to questions like that, answers that no man could truly know. His development of the antiviral agent had really been nothing more than another job responsibility. He felt no particular sense of duty to protect people from a killer virus. He was just happy for the chance to play around with UA day after day. Another email arrived in his inbox. Sender A. Subject line: 1 year ago, South Africa again. Do not look away. These are your crimes. This time, there were 4 images attached. Osara proceeded to open each of them in turn. The first shocked Osara so much that he felt like he'd been punched in the head. One of the UA patients from the earlier images was being injected with something. No, Osara muttered to himself. It can't be. The second image showed one of the infected hunched over in pain, vomiting up blood. The symptoms had already manifested, but Osara thought he could see that some degree of life had come back into the patient's eyes. He rushed to open the third image. It showed a morgue, piled high with corpses. The richness of anguish on the dead faces made them look no longer human. Various fluids seeped from the eyes and nostrils. The lymph nodes were grotesquely swollen. Small organs that function as part of the lymphatic system in mammals. When a foreign substance invades the body, the lymph nodes detect it, prompting the production of white blood cells such as lymphocytes and macrophages to consume the invader. A viral infection sometimes causes the lymph nodes to swell up as a result of increased activity. There were hospital beds stained with massive amounts of blood and gastric fluids. Next came the fourth and final image. More corpses. They had badges affixed to their chest with various labels. 6 hours passed, 12 hours passed, and 18 hours passed. It looked as if someone had been attempting live trials with the antiviral agent. Osawa didn't consider the antiviral agent ready for release, but that was because his team hadn't conducted clinical trials on humans yet. And there was a good reason why such trials hadn't been conducted. There was no way to test the efficiency of the drug without an infected patient. They got efficacy. To run a proper clinical test, someone would first need to be infected with the UA virus. No matter how effective animal testing had been, if the drug proved ineffective on humans, that person would have a guaranteed death sentence. Oh boy. It was unthinkable to run trials that invoked such a deadly risk. And yet, as he looked over the images again and again, Osawa became certain. Without his knowledge, presumably someone from Okashi Pharmaceutical, had conducted human testing with the antiviral agent. The time markers on the corpses in the fourth image were surely there to mark the time elapsed since the onset of symptoms. A thorough trial would test the drug's effectiveness in those time frames. Osawa slammed his fist on the desk, enraged. This was nothing short of vile human experimentation in the guise of clinical testing. The people responsible could not be allowed to get away with this. There was only one person Osawa could trust to keep this under wraps. His boss, Makino. He reached for his phone to call Makino, but he stopped short as soon as he picked up the receiver. He knew he was in no state of mind to have a calm, reasoned conversation right now. Turning to the CD player, he put on Aya Kamiki's latest album. Leaning back in his chair, he surrendered himself to her soothing tones. Bit by bit, he could feel himself returning to a calmer emotional state. There had been a time when Osawa hadn't listened to music at all. In fact, he had no interest in the arts in general, music, painting, cinema. It was only due to a simple coincidence that he had found Aya Kamiki. His daughter had asked for a CD as a birthday present, so he'd swung by the store to pick one up. Since Kamiki's new album had just come out, there was a display for it in the front of the shop. Something about the bright, colorful album packaging had drawn him in. After a time, Osawa could feel himself growing calmer. He took a nice deep breath, then dialed Makino, closed his eyes, and tried to banish his nerves completely. Has there been any progress? Makino asked as soon as he picked up. His voice was somber. No, Osawa said, nothing much yet. A tiny sigh came in from the other end of this line. I see. Then, what can I do for you? Sir, I'll just get right to the point. Have you conducted clinical trials using the antiviral drug? Makino didn't respond right away. What makes you think that? He asked last. Osawa described the emails. Oh boy. When he finished, Makino let out his breath in surprise. Not over the phone. We'll discuss this in person. I'll head over to your place when I'm done here. As soon as possible, sir. As soon as I can manage, Makino said. You're not the only person who's busy. With that, Makino hung up. There was no doubt about it. Then there had been human testing. Osawa went to let Tanaka know he'd be meeting with Makino. Mr. Osawa, are you going somewhere? A stolid-looking man stood in the hallway, almost as if he'd been waiting for Osawa to emerge. It was Yoshino Kajiwara, one of the detectives from the Shibuya precinct. A detective with the Shibuya precinct's criminal investigation division. He is sociable but awkward, and despite his reserved personality, he can be quite unsettling. His colleagues at the precinct refer to him by nicknames such as Japanese Columbo and Little Ken Takakura, given his own quirky demeanor as a detective. He struck Osawa as a bit too soft-spoken and meek for a detective, really, and his treatment of the kidnapping case gave an impression of flighty detachment that made him seem rather undependable. No, not really. Have there been any developments, detective? Kajiwara shook his head quietly. I'm sorry, sir. I'm not really sure what to tell you. Kajiwara then slipped a hand into his suit pocket, pulled out a banana, a highly nutritious fruit belonging to family Muskake, genus Musa. Because they contain a variety of different carbohydrates, bananas can provide long-lasting energy and are optimal energy source when exercising. The famous slipperiness of a banana peels is due to the oils in the inner part of their skin. But even if all the oils were removed, slapstick comedians would still probably slip on them anyway. Are you hungry? These are good for when you're tired. I'm fine, thanks, Osawa said. Kajiwara seemed to lack a detective's sense of situational awareness. Just being around him got on Osawa's nerves. Well, sir, I need you to come with me. If you don't mind. He took Osawa by the arm. As Kajiwara hurried him towards the living room, Osawa could hear the other detectives talking on the other side of the door. He's working at a time like this? Seriously? Sheesh. I do not get rich people and their priorities. Yeah, I feel bad for his daughter. Her dad's a real piece of work. Nice. They were bad-mouthing him in his own house. Oh, I'm really sorry about all that, Kajiwara said, pausing in embarrassment. Osawa pushed past him and opened the door. A number of police detectives had holed up in the living room. They went suddenly silent as Osawa entered. So tell me, he said sarcastically, would you rather I stay here weeping as I watch this disaster unfold? The detectives winced and grimaced. Forgive me for not being a perfect father, he added, his hostility building. Kajiura stepped forward to intervene before things go out of hand. Now, let's not be touchy. I'm not being touchy, Osawa snapped. But he knew full well that he was. These guys had the time to sit around backbiting him, but not to go out and bring Maria to safety. Already close to half a day had gone by without any new developments. The ransom demand had come in the previous night at 8 o'clock. Oh, so it's his daughter. Maria had been abducted roughly an hour before. Tomorrow, 10 a.m., by Hachiko in Shibuya. Have the sister Hitomi bring 50 million yen. If not, the girl's life is forfeit. The kidnapper called only once, so the police were unable to run a trace. I'll do it, Hitomi said. Anything for my sister. She didn't hesitate in the slightest at the suggestion that she make the ransom handoff. Osawa was staunchly opposed to the idea, but the police were of the opinion that it was better to acquiesce to the kidnapper's demands. Ai's reaction, on the other hand, baffled nearly everyone. We don't have 50 million just lying around. Are the police going to be putting that together for us? Kajiura stepped in to reassure her. If it comes down to it, the police will be able to help raise the money. Okay, go ahead, then do it. We need you to pay it back afterwards, though, of course. Well, then what's the point of that? Ai's voice spiked up to a piercing shriek. Calm down, Osawa told her. You're making a scene. I turned away in a huff. It's all right, Detective, Osawa continued. I'll talk to the bank first thing tomorrow morning and figure something out. At that, I stormed out of the room. Kajiura bowed his head several times in apology. As soon as Hitomi has made contact, we'll apprehend the suspect and take things from there. What? Hold on. Won't that put Maria in danger? If we let the kidnapper get away with the money, we have no proof that he will return the hostage safely afterwards. That's true. There was a certain logic there, so I had to coincide. I see, he said. So you're saying that catching this guy will be easier for you if he keeps my daughter's hostage? I mean, my daughter? No, that's not what I was implying at all. Kajiura wiped the sweat off his brow and bowed profusely. At least I promise we'll get your daughter back safe and sound, Mr. Osawa. Obviously, there was nothing to be gained from further challenging the detectives. All right then. I'll let the police do their job. Osawa bowed even lower than Kajiura had. How long are you gonna just loaf around? I shrieked at the storm as she stormed into the room. Hurry up and arrest this guy. She was becoming increasingly hysterical. An hour had passed since the suspect had taken the money, and yet the police had made no effort to apprehend him. The police apparently had a rule against discussing an operation before it was fully resolved, and so the Osawas had been left in the dark. Yep. But they had overheard the task force talking over the wireless, and it appeared that they were deliberately letting the suspect roam free. Hey, I snapped again. If he gets away with our money, you are going to reimburse us, right? Osawa scowled. She made it sound like the money was more important than Maria's life. The detectives exchanged uneasy glances. Okay. Osawa chided his wife. It's only money, it doesn't matter. Osawa said nothing. Should we check her in front of the detectives, guys? Only money? Are you serious? You have any idea how much we're talking about here? The ferocity in her voice left him with no response. He should have known better than expect her to make sacrifices for his daughters. Guess I should have said nothing. By now, he was accustomed to Aya's coldness towards the two girls. I didn't know that. The twins were Osawa's daughters from his first wife. Man, I didn't know that. I wouldn't have said anything. Who passed away 15 years earlier. Oh, so she's the second wife, huh? I had no blood ties to Maria or Hitomi herself. Well, I continued. Are the police going to reimburse us or not? She glared pointedly at Kajiwara. Well, right now we're focused on making sure Maria is safe. I stormed up to him, shouting right in his face. Stop dodging the question. Answer me. Yes, of course, Kajiwara squeaked. Maybe, would you like something to eat to help you calm down? He held out a banana. I smacked it out of his hand. Oh dear, what a waste. Kajiwara scrambled to retrieve the fruit from the floor. Osawa went over to Tanaka and whispered into his ear. I'm going to meet with Mr. Makino. Tanaka nodded silently. Turning, Osawa saw Kajiwara looking in their direction. They made eye contact, but Osawa quickly looked away and strode out of the living room. Hope I don't get the bad ending for checking the wife. Kajiwara followed after him. Excuse me, Mr. Osawa? Yes, what is it? The detective fussed sheepishly with his hair and forced a smile. Sir, we'd appreciate it if you could remain in the living room as much as possible. Osawa was in no mood to stand on propriety. Look, I've got a ton of work to do, he said. Are you here to tell me to play the role of the grieving father too? No, not at all. Personally, I'd happen to think you're an admirable father, Mr. Osawa. Admirable? Did the word have to ring of sarcasm? He had no way to tell if Kajiwara was being forthright with him or not. You're no ordinary fellow, Mr. Osawa. You're a genius. A genius? Me? Am I mistaken, sir? You've made very important strides in the field of virus research. Oh, well, so I've been told. Osawa wasn't sure how to respond. He had never considered himself a genius. He was just someone who was more interested in viruses than he was in other people. Everyone who's a genius is also a little bit odd after all, Kajiwara went on. Probably he'd intended that as a compliment, but still. And I mean, there's nothing wrong with weirdos. So as long as they leave us ordinary folks alone, you know. Is this guy trying to praise me or insult me? Osawa let out a heavy sigh. Genius, weirdo? What did that even matter? So long as he could be left to his work, he didn't care one whit how he looked in the other people's eyes. Kajiwara wiped the sweat off his forehead with a handkerchief. By the way, what are you working on right now? He asked. I'm afraid you wouldn't understand even if I explained it to you. Right, precisely. Even if I gave it my full attention, it would still be beyond me. He peered with sudden intensity at Osawa's face. I'd appreciate it if you didn't hide things from me, sir, he said. At a loss for words. Oh, I'm sorry, Kajiwara added hurriedly. Goodness, that made it sound like I'm accusing you of hiding something, didn't it? The detective bowed his head repeatedly. Oh my God. Hope you'll forgive me. He held out the banana. That won't be necessary. How about this then? This time he pulled out a bar of chocolate from his pocket. No, thank you. Did this guy just carry endless food supply wherever he went? Oh my, Kajiwara murmured. You geniuses really are tough to sort out. He inclined his head, mumbling to himself for a moment. What can I get for you then, sir? What I'd really like is some time by myself. In a daze of exasperation, Osawa felt his way to his study. Locking the door, he finally let out a breath he'd been holding. Then his eyes alighted on the bookshelf against the wall. He pulled out a photo album and began to flip through it. There were pictures of his daughter's grade school enrollment ceremony. Away from illness, so Osawa had taken the girls himself. Their mother had passed away from illness. He remembered that after the ceremony, Hitomi had come down with a fever. Hitomi had been rather sickly as a girl, falling bedridden at the drop of a hat. Maria, by contrast, had been lively and energetic, quite the handful. Sawa had found it remarkable that their personalities could be so different despite them being twins. He flipped further in the album. There was a picture of the three of them at their grade school's graduation. Maria was looking away from the camera. Osawa felt like someone had stabbed a dagger in his heart. His daughter's virology, which truly concerned him more. Which did he truly love? It was ridiculous to try to compare the two. He'd known the answer before he'd even asked himself. Even so, human emotions were complicated and sometimes made people act inconsistently. Ain't that the truth? One of the consequences of that was this photo album. This was the last photo he had of Maria. He searched and searched through the rest of the album, but she was nowhere else to be found. Alright, ladies and gentlemen, thanks for watching. My name is Raven from the Sky. If you enjoyed the episode, drop a like and subscribe to the channel and the series grow. Take care, and I'll catch you guys in the next episode. Peace.